Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience. Now, please welcome the speaker, Faith He, the project manager of ESOP Corp, to give us a speech.
Good afternoon. My name is Faith. I'm a project manager at ESOP. Today, I'm going to take at least 10 minutes to talk about the benefits for building up your own enterprise security information sharing platform. For the past 20 years, ESOP has been focusing on assisting Taiwanese companies to increase the security effectiveness. With our own RD team and information security expert, we also keep enhancing our product to improve the weakness in company security management. So nowadays we are confident to offer the number one internal network security platform in Taiwan. So what is the solution? What is a security intelligence portal? The portal can help you to improve your security management in 3 simple steps. First of all, it's an open data platform. It can automatically collect and integrate intranet devices information into an agentless platform. Once the manager has all this information, they can build out their own automatic inspection checking process. Thirdly, we offer the more than 80 type of audit report. Okay, so what is an open data platform? What kind of information you can get on this platform? You will receive information about what, where's, whose, and how's. What is the device? What kind of device is now connected to your intranet network? You are given information, for example, IP and MAC address, including IPv4 and IPv6. Its category, it's a Windows device or Linux server or web camera, or probably, for example, it's an iPhone 10. And where is the device comes from, located? The device connects to your network through which physical switch port, and of course, we will show you the related switch port information. And if you are using the AD management tool in your environment, now you will know if the device has joined the domain management. And you will know which user account is using the device right now, and he or she's login time and logout time. And some of other important information, for example, if the GPO has correctly applying local admin and the share folder authorization. And as nowadays, organizations are upgrade and upscale their IT infrastructure. In your environment, you probably have more than 8 to 10 type of security equipment. So it's getting very difficult for managers to collect and track all this information from the endpoint devices, especially if you have more than one facility location or even oversee branch office. So the manager don't know if the endpoint device has installed the antivirus software, and if the deployed agent is properly working, and you probably had more equipment, for example, like DLP, WSAS, AD management tool, firewall, etc. So now, with this agentless platform, now you can have all information on one platform. Some of you might think that our solution sounds like similar to SIEM. Actually, it's a similar idea, but there's one big difference, is that we do not collect all logs into one platform. We only collect the 5% critical information, the most important 5% critical information that can help you to check and make decision. With all this bit of critical information, it is possible for manager to build up an auto tracking process. You may put a security policy in place to quickly identify the high-risk devices that trying to gain access to your network. Last week, we received a solution demonstration invitation from one of the biggest hospital in Taiwan. The reason is that the system of the hospital got affected by the virus. And there's a doctor who is using an iPad. He left his iPad at office when he got home. The iPad got a virus, so the virus spread to the intranet network. So if with the security intelligence portal solution, which can also integrate with their SIEM solution in their environment, once the SIEM discover any unusual device or unusual event, SIP can immediately know what is the device, where it's located, and isolate and blocking the device immediately, so it can avoid more damage to your environment. The use of security intelligence portal also can help company to comply with different industrial regulations. So on the third part, we offer more than 80 type of security report to meet different audit activities like ISO or financial internal or external audition. So those security report also can help you to quickly filter the incompliance device and make the correction. There's also a real-time and detailed dashboard on the platform that will help you to have an overall understanding about your network status, and to quickly spot unusual event or devices. So now you will have more understanding about your network security information, and you also can do the implementation review. Now you can have a total number of IP connected devices in your intranet, and you can quickly generate an IoT inventory report, so you will know how many printers, how many web cameras in your environment, and where are they located. And for Windows device, you probably would like to know if it has joined the domain management, and if it has installed with antivirus software, as we expect. And for those devices that did not join the domain management and also did not install with antivirus product, it is considered to be a very high risk. So the manager can, based on the report, to do some further correction. Not only the compliance check, but also manager also concerned about the effectiveness. So on the platform, you can also get the information about if the antivirus pattern is up to date, and if the agent is reporting back. So to conclude, that the ESOP Security Intelligence Portal can bring you key benefits. It can help you to save about 90% of time and cost from collecting and tracing all this information. And it can, with all this correction on incompliance devices, you can reach 99% endpoint compliance. So now you can also turn your security protection to be more active and rely on them. For your time and attention today, and if you are interested in more product information, we will be more than happy to meet you at our booth. Our booth is with our partner Syscom Group, so hope to see you there. Thank you.
Sorry about that. The next speaker is Thomas Kuiper from the Gandhi. He's the general manager of Gandhi.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're not too tired on the second day. It's great to be in Taipei. I live here actually since 5 years, and I founded the Asia office of Gandhi at the same time. And now we have 15 people here in Taipei, and we manage around 2.3, 2.4 million domain names globally. And our other offices are in Paris, Luxembourg, and San Francisco. Our website is in Japanese, Chinese, English, and we're also going to add German if someone speaks German here in the process of this year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some common DNS threats. Some of them have already been outlined this morning, but people always misunderstand, or they don't understand that a domain name is maybe one of the most important part of your infrastructure. If your domain name doesn't work, then nothing works. You cannot receive emails anymore. People cannot do shopping on your website anymore. Basically, if your domain name doesn't work or is taken over by someone else or you didn't renew it, then nothing works anymore. So the domain name is one of the most important assets of your business in terms of security, and it also has a lot of vectors of attack. So what I'm outlining here is that you can have access to, you can have denial of service. So this is basically someone trying to shut down your system or make it unaccessible. And of course, the basic things are like, okay, you need to make sure that where the server is located, it needs to have a key. You need to have maybe some additional two-factor authentication for the keys as well, because keys can be copied. But people also understand some other basic, forget some other basic things, like making sure that there's always power supply for the server. So if you don't have an agreement with your data center provider, or if you don't have an agreement with your with whoever makes your SLA for having your server, you also may have the problem that maybe there's no notice before the power company is doing a shutdown. So those are some of the issues you can have anywhere. So those are the denial of service issues. You also have issues which are more technical. So you have the issue of data corruption, which is like people trying to corrupt your DNS settings, or that the authoritative servers are not trustable. You don't know who operates your secondary DNS, or you don't know who's the DNS server operator. In our case, we provide a secondary DNS, and we also provide, actually with every domain name, we provide a domain name server for free. So people always forget that registrars are mostly not only providing the domain name, but they also provide a free service usually, or included service, which is the domain name server. So those are some of the things which can be data corruption attacks. Then you also have the problem of information exposure. If you didn't configure your DNS server properly, you may have the problem that people can query records. They can find out how is your infrastructure built. They can find out how your infrastructure is set up. They can do zone walking or copy your entire zone file and see actually what systems you have, and then launch an attack from there. So altogether, you can see this is the overview. If you want, you can take a picture, but because I only have 10 minutes. But these are some of the common DNS threats you can find in which you should protect against. So for the physical issues, or for the denial of service issues, of course you have to physically protect against an attack or incident. You need to make sure that the physical location is replicated. Maybe you need to have a backup location. You can use any cast services of the DNS to make sure that no matter if a server is down or not reachable, that you can still have a backup. I mean, DNS was made to have multiple DNS servers, but I know that people still sometimes they use the same DNS or multiple DNS server in the same infrastructure, or sometimes I saw in Taiwan there's people who have the same server, they just give 2 different IP addresses on the same network. So always make sure that you have redundant systems, because that's how the internet was made, to have redundant systems and to be reachable from multiple locations. If you want to avoid data corruption, you must make sure that all your software is up to date. You must make sure that the system is configured well, and that you have administrative procedures in place, that people are not able to modify any of your data or have access to modify the data. Unfortunately, people, they often forget that they should not use their personal email address or Gmail address to register a domain name. So it's very easy for people to hijack a domain name or to try to gather information about who owns the domain name. So you should always try to use a special alias for your domain name records, for your domain name registration, and maybe try not to disclose too much personal information inside your whois. Yeah. So again, this information experience, you must be sure that you use NSEC3, for example, to mitigate some risk of zone walking. You must be sure that that you use two-factor authentication or strong passwords. And there are also threads which are not with the DNS but are coming from the DNS. So you must, if you don't configure it well, then you have the issue which we had with the baby monitor that is going to be used for amplification attacks, because the domain name infrastructure was built to respond very quickly and not check anything about the source or origin. So you must be sure that you configure your domain name very securely, that it's not an open resolver, for example, and that it doesn't become a problem for others as well. Okay. So what we do at Gandhi is, because we provide the domain name server for you, we provide, with every domain name, we provide a DNS service. Also, we have Anycast, so we have a server in Tokyo, we have a server in Luxembourg, and all around the world, so you can use our service for making sure that your DNS is always reachable. We monitor our infrastructure 7 hours per day. So we have, for example, our engineer in Taiwan. We walk around the clock, so the engineer in Taiwan will monitor the infrastructure when it's daylight here. Then in Paris they will take over, and then in the evening the people in San Francisco will take over. So we always have someone reachable in case you have issues with your DNS. We also monitor, of course, we have multi-factor and multiple security measures of our physical infrastructure, and you can also use our secondary DNS ns6.gandhi.net if you allow zone transfers from that IP address. Okay, and for additional security, we also support U2F and two-factor authentication. U2F is actually a physical key; it's a UB key. If you want to try it, you can visit our office in Nehu, and I can give you one too if you just want to check how it works. I think we are one of the few registrars who supports U2F, so physical authentication to connect to your Gandhi account, or to connect to your account for managing the domain name. And we also support DNSSEC for multiple extensions, like .tw, for example, which is now only $499 Taiwan if you want to buy it. It's a very big discount right now. And yeah, we also have a corporate service for brand protection, which is used mainly by French companies right now, Rolex and all the big brands you can see if you walk in the airport. And in Taiwan, it's, for example, it's KKBox and Rayak and some other gaming companies. Okay. So just visit us on gandhi.net. Thank you.
Okay, and next, please welcome the speaker, Mr. David Liu from Net Chinese Corporation Limited. He's the General Manager of Net Chinese Corporation.
Yeah, I got nervous. Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a very small, very short PowerPoint presentation for everybody. But when I finish my PowerPoint, I find it's very tough and it's very hard to translate to English. So maybe please allow me to use Chinese to do this presentation. And if everybody you have some interesting to my presentation, maybe you can ask Anthony. I know Anthony is very good for translation. You can ask Anthony to translate for you. Okay. OK， 也许有人知道哈，就是网络中是一个以域名为主的公司。那就像之前 Thomas 提到，就刚刚前面那个 Gandhi 的 Thomas 提到说 ，domain name 其实在整个网际网络的架构里面是非常重要的一个环节。那我们公司成立19年以来，其实我们大概是台湾唯一一家60%以上营收来自于 domain name。然后呢，我们大概也是过去12年来，我们长期定期出现在 ICANN 的会议上面，我们去追踪 ICANN 各种重要议题，所以在场很多贵宾其实我们都见过。Well， 这是大家大概知道网络中文在做什么事情。可是可能大家不知道的是，网络中文有一些，可是可能很少人知道，网络中文其实有一些隐藏版的服务。我们为特定的客户量身打造了一些很特殊的 service。那我今天呢，在各位听了2天有关于技术、有关于规范、有关于社群如何公约去建立更好、更安全、更我们完美的网络世界之余呢，我想从另外一个角度来跟大家分享，我们过去几乎10年以来帮客户做顾问的时候，我们对网际网络的观察。我们大概提供这些服务啊，其实我们大概提供在资安面，我们大概是台湾最完整的 SSL 代理啊。各位可以在我们系统上面在15分钟内拿到一张 SSL 凭证，我们也可以协助各位在半个月的时间内去申请到全世界最难的 SSL 凭证。我们提供了很多客制化的资安服务，那也包含品牌的监控、品牌鉴检啊、TNCH、NGTLD 的顾问。同时呢，我们也帮客户进行维权。台湾其实有很多客户透过我们到全世界去 buy back 去买回他们的域名。那我们其实也设计了大概，我们记得最高金额的几个 case 都是7位数字美金的交易。那我们当然最新年我们因为 SEO 非常兴盛，所以我们其实也替客户做了很多 SEO 相关的工具，有些工具是我们自己打造的。那我们也在里面呢帮客户进行 SEO 整个布局跟他的顾问服务。那总结了这些服务，我们差不多超过10年的时间在帮客户做这些特殊的服务的时候，我们有个特殊的感觉。网际网络的世界啊，其实是福祸相依的。这句话大家大概都了解，它是出自老子《道德经》。Anthony, can you translate this? No, okay. I know it's very tough. Oh my Jesus! You can go to my speech, please. 这句话出自老子啦，祸兮福之所依啊，福兮祸之所伏。我们想讲这件事情的原因是这样子。其实我们为什么觉得网际网络是福祸相依呢？因为我们回去看网际网络的原始啊，它是一个规格开放、架构分权、减少干预、达到高速、低成本、自由讯息交流系统。这套系统它带来的好处是，几乎快半世纪以来，我们全球已经有40亿以上人口上网，也就是说，它已经变成今天人类文明生活的一部分。可是它之所以能够扩张到这么大的快速，是因为它只重视规格开放、架构分权、减少干预。它其实没有考虑资安，它没有考虑个资，它没有考虑维权。它其实在整个设计的一开始，它就不考虑这件现实。那我们在这边要特别强调是说，我们并不是认为因此网际网络的原始创始者就应该被挞伐，不是，而是如果你不是这样的一个网际网络，它就根本不可能成为全球40亿人每天必须经过的事情。但是你如果这样做，网际网络会成功了，那其实你隐含代表的就是你的个资、你的自爱、你的维权会非常困难，会非常非常困难。我们想象一下，如果在1970年、1980年代，网际网络各种规格刚奠基的时候，有没有可能出现一个完全安全，就是我们今天不必聚在这里讨论治安问题的一种网际网络？我们设想一下，以当年的技术水准来看，如果要出现那样的网际网络，你大致上呢需要做到这样的事情：你的规格可能是必须封闭或是半开放，因为大家都知道，你规格越开放，知道人越多，那么它漏洞就越多。然后你的加解密必须在网络底层实践。各位知道 DMSSEC 是在 DMS 系统里面非常重要的一个系统，可实际上这个系统现在成功了吗 ？Actually， 技术上它成功了，可是它在全球的部署其实是有困难的。所以，如果你真的要做到保密，你要做一个很安全网际网络，那么你可能在50年前，你就必须在 DMS 解析上考虑安全。你可能在架构上，你必须中央集权或是区域分权，你绝对不能采取完全分权机制，因为中央集权你才可能去顺利的去管理各个在节点上面的状况。你可能需要在规则上广泛考虑各自。我举个例子，各位知道澳洲 domain 登记的时候，你如果登记一笔 domain 的话，它有6个月的期间保留给澳洲本土公司在商标或品牌上提出异议。只要你登记的 domain name 跟当地某公司使用的品牌或商标有雷同或有争议的话，澳洲管理局会直接取消你 domain name。 可是整个 Internet 整个网际网络市场不是那样运转的。你登记 domain 那一刻，没有人会在全球的商标资料库去帮你查这一笔 domain 有没有跟其他人冲突，所以你的规则也不是考虑这个。那你最后你的传输 ，DDoS 一直是网际网络上最重要的一个攻击的类源之一。可是各位仔细想，我们现在对 DDoS 有解吗？我们对 DDoS 解法不过就是把它导到另外一个地方去，让它清洗完再还回来给你，不是吗 ？Actually 没解，为什么没解？因为实际上你在网际网络的传输上你是不受限制的，你没有限制多少数量机器可以在多短的时间内对某个机器做某一种动作，你没限制。所以 DDoS 攻击根本就从现在架构来看你是无解。所以我们想讲的是，网际网络之所以能够兴盛，是因为它开放、它自由、它低成本、它不干涉。可是也是因为这样子，它就会带来这些隐患。而且我们要讲说，所以我们说1995年技术来看，如果当时才实现这些技术规格，网际网络今天不会变成今天的网际网络。那么更进一步来说呢，你享受开放、自由、低成本的网际网络呢，你就得付出代价。那这个代价也就是，其实就是我们各位每天赖以为生的。因为网际网络既然成为人类生活文明的一部分，那么做网络资安、做资安方面就变成未来不可或缺，就跟吃饭、穿衣服一样，就变成不可或缺的一个工作了。而且我要说，补洞是很辛苦的。比如说像 DNSSEC 这么重要的规格，其实你基本上，我们诚实说，我们诚实面对，我们公司有 DNSSEC， 但是我们公司使用 DNSSEC 客户不超过1%。为什么？它非常难。而且非常繁琐，它必须定期去更新你的 key。那台湾绝大部分的企业在架设 DNS 的时候，完全都不考虑这件事情。我知道 ICANN 的 root server 已经更新了，但实际上一般来讲，它是推广不了的。因此，我们得到的第一个结论是，福祸相依之外呢，你如果要追求极致的成功，你就要付出极致的代价。其实这就是很相依，就很中国的概念，就是两件事情是一定会并存的。那么接下来呢，我说过，我们长期帮客户做顾问啊，所以我们顾问常常是要去帮客户画中线。所以我用书经这句话允之绝中来告诉大家，我们最常做的事情就是要帮客户画中线。中线在哪里？中线在成本跟成果之间。所有的资安系统，严格说，你都在拖时间。没有一套人设计的系统不可能被人攻破。所以，所有的资安系统其实都是在延迟被攻破的那个时间，在降低被攻破的几率。所以，所有资安系统说穿了，你都在拖时间。而另外一个角度来看 ，Sorry，Why？ OK， 所有的维权系统都在抢时间。你发现有一个仿冒你的网站，你希望在最短时间内发现它，然后在最短时间让它 shut down， 对吧？因为你的损失随着时间延长而累积，而所有的时间其实都是成本。于是乎呢，我们过去顾问的这10年来呢，我们最常发现的事情是，我们要帮客户去画那条中线。你到底在什么情况下，你可以容忍什么样的损失，或容忍什么样的效果，然后来用你最低成本达到这个目的。其实我觉得我们做顾问大概就做这件事情，所以我们就尽可能帮客户画中线。OK， 我们接下来很快速讲几个很简单的案例，我想在场大家对这些案例一定耳熟能详啊。第一个，刷卡线上金流，各位一定去过 PC Home 买东西啊，对不起，我不应该讲厂商。各位一定去过某些线上购物的业者买东西，其实很多线上购物的业者会 keep 你信用卡卡号，然后他留下最后3码，对不对？叫你自己输最后3码，有些会叫你输到期日。Actually， 我们过去这10几年来，常常碰到客户要求我们帮他建线上金融，然后我们就问他说：“你到底要 keep 或不要 keep 客户的 credit card number？” 那我们的客户通常的答案都是为了让用户使用方便，所以他都要去保存客户的信用卡资料。可是各位知道吗？如果你一旦我的客户帮他的客户保留信用卡资料，就代表我的客户的 database 里面有信用卡资料。那个 database 就很容易被攻击，一旦被攻击，它的损失就会非常大。所以我们通常都会建议客户，除非你愿意花大价钱，除非你愿意花大成本去建构一个不容易被攻破的 database， 否则我们都会建议你不要保存客户的信用卡资料，因为那个风险会很高。 另外一个例子呢是品牌赠送。各位知道我们过去专业做 domain， 而 domain 世界里面的品牌争议其实是层出不穷。通常 domain 的侵权争议的最终的判决机构是管辖法院。可是我们通常都会建议客户你先进行争议。为什么？我们因为争议的时间通常花的比较短，你如果争议失败了，你再去打诉讼，看起来你要花时间比较长，但是你有可能在前面这个时间就把事情解决掉了。所以我们希望客户去增加一点点时间的浪费，然后降低整个的实际金额成本。另外一个呢，我们是最近很夯的议题，其实不是很夯啊，大概夯了10年，就是 SEO。各位都知道，如果你在台湾的网络里面，你搜寻 SEO 行销的话，马上就有很多公司跳出来跟你讲说，我保证你在1个礼拜或2个月内上到第1页去。然后大概也知道他们怎么做，基本上他用灰帽方法帮你做很多外部链接。可是我们自己过去3年发展了一些工具，我们发现 Google 会惩罚这些做外部链接的业者，然后他也会惩罚被外部链接 SEO 推上去的客户的网站，因为 Google 会认为你这个网站的客户阅读的品质不佳，所以他直接惩罚你。所以我们公司在帮客户设计这方面的 service 的时候，我们就告诉客户说，你千万不要用这种方法，否则你短期有效果，但你长期就基本上是损失的。所以我们想告诉大家的是，其实在顾问这10年来，我们最常发现的事情是要帮客户寻求那个中间线，其实是非常困难的事情。而很多客户都认为，我应该可以在某个领域中赚到，我应该可以赚到。其实诚实说，世界上没有赚到这件事情，你基本上赚到的东西都是你付出的劳力或你承担的风险，完全一致的。最后呢，我的时间不多，所以我用2句话跟大家做我的报告的总结。第一句话是《金刚经》，凡所有相，皆是虚妄。我们其实很喜欢这句话，特别是最后那个“虚妄”2个字。我想各位如果读过《金刚经》，知道“虚妄”2个字其实意涵是说，你所有的东西都不存在的，其实是假的。我们常常告诉客户说，今天我们帮你设计了一个 promotion program， 我们今天帮你设计了一个资安系统，你上线那一刻，就这个系统消失那一天，因为它是假的，因为人所建立的东西一定会被人所破坏，所以你上线那一刻，你就开始要想下一步你要做什么，绝对不可以沉溺于过去的成就。也因此，我用最后一句话，这是我们自己公司内部常讲的话。OK， 天行健，君子以自强不息。这句话来自周易。我们在读这句话的时候，大家常常只听到后面4个字“自强不息”。其实各位，如果你去翻，这是来自于周易，然后这是孔子做的注解啊。其实比较重要是前面3个字“天行健”，“健”那个字代表变化，也就是说，天道跟世界是永远在变化中的。一个能够符合自我需求或是客户需求的机构，它其实需要自强不息的。所以我需要自强不息，我们公司需要自强不息，而我们的客户也需要自强不息。OK， 我想利用这简短的10分钟跟大家分享一些不太一样的观察。那谢谢各位，谢谢。
Okay. The next speaker is Crystal Peterson. She's the head of business affairs in the registered services of New Star. So please give her a applause to welcome on stage.
Does this work? Can you all hear me? Excellent. Hello, everybody. I am going to continue some of the talk that we've had around security today and kind of look into some of the things that we think about in the line of defense from a registry side and from a corporate side. But first I want to tell you just a little bit about New Star. New Level formed in 2000 as a subsidiary of New Star for the first new GTLD round of ICANN. So we like to say that we've always been playing in new GTLDs from .biz all the way to now. In 2001, .biz launched as a new GTLD. In 2002, we won the Department of Commerce's RFP to be the administrator for the US TLD and launched .us in the second level. And then in 2006, New Level retired and became part of Neustar Inc. Neustar was formed in 1999 as a spinoff of Lockheed Martin. And currently we have 3 business lines. Addressing solutions, which is where registry sits today, authentication solutions, and also analytics solutions. Within the registry business, we have several different lines. We are a GTLD registry operator, for example, with .biz and .neustar, a CCTLD registry administrator, .co and .us, a registry services gateway model, which we are proud to partner with .tw, registry services partner, where we help to run marketing and distribution, even though we aren't the actual registry operator, for example, with .nyc and .tel. We're a registry services provider platform, and then we also have security solutions and trust. Our trust has been earned through a legacy of managing complex and authoritative data sets. Neustar provides instantaneous answers to more than 27 billion queries from the internet and answers over 300,000 questions every second. Every day we manage almost 7 billion physical and virtual addresses. In the US, Neustar also enables 6 billion daily text messages. And we manage over 15 million domain names. We enable 4 billion phone calls daily. And we generate geolocation data for nearly 3 billion IP addresses. Neustar provides internet addressing for all types of brands and clients, from registry naming services to DNS and monitoring to security. Privacy and security is where today's talk is focused because of the rising cyber threats that we've been seeing from across the space. We've had several talks today focused on security threats, and we all know it's a rising concern with entities all across the internet ecosystem. So, kind of looking at the landscape that we have been looking at internally from our point of view. First, you know that cyber attacks are growing more frequent and more powerful. Already we've seen new DDoS techniques that have created terabyte-sized attacks, bigger than any we've seen before. We had several talks earlier today which were showing us those same types of graphs. Attacks like these can be incredibly costly for an enterprise to cope with, and so we needed to ensure that our throughput stays as high as possible. At the same time, we've seen new sophisticated cyber attacks emerge, which can be increasingly difficult to detect. For instance, application layer threats have become more damaging, but are also the most difficult to detect, providing little to no advance warning before they wreak havoc. Yet simply increasing our security measures can increase false positives, and it rejects some valuable customers that we have. Not only does all of this make digital defense more challenging for us, but it also calls to attention traditional defenses can be limited by the lack of insight into what kind of traffic is taking place across the networks. This lack of insight can be crushing. If we experience a data breach, which, knock on wood, we will not, it can cause lasting damage and to our brand and permanently hurt relationships with customers. I don't know if any of these things resonate with you guys, with your companies, but these are the things that we have been thinking about every day. The cost of recovering from this data breach has increased by millions of dollars over the past decade. Costs can include damages to the company's reputation, the loss of contacts or business opportunities, damage to our credit ratings, increased insurance premiums, temporary loss of access to business critical information, or the ability to trade, and the cost of hiring PR or image consultants. But the challenge, as you know, goes beyond just defending. The expectation for digital performance are also higher than ever before. In other words, any compromise to our digital infrastructure can cost opportunities for our entire company, be it through damage to our brands, loss of customers who couldn't access any of their digital assets, or through the financial impact that compromises have brought to us. This goes beyond incurred costs when digital attacks happen and include every opportunity to grow the business. Because at the end of the day, we truly know what our jobs are about. And it's looking at protecting our opportunities no matter what comes our way. They can be opportunities to build relationships with our customers, opportunities to improve our reputation, or opportunities to win new business. And for us, protecting these opportunities is on the minds of the entire C-suite within our company. Digital infrastructure challenges that will threaten operations and brand reputation. And protecting opportunities demands a comprehensive approach. The constant evolution of digital infrastructure challenges requires going above and beyond just simple IT solutions. So at Neustar, we're constantly working to improve the speed of our networks, our source detection capability, and our overall efficacy. So there's a higher throughput, fewer false positives, and lower latency overall. As Jeff said earlier today, failure is catastrophic. We've looked to build a massive global coverage to ensure that we're prepared for anything around the world. We've strategically placed scrubbing centers, 27 of them in total, closer to the source of attack so we can mitigate attacks faster and reduce any latency across our network. Our globally distributed 10 terabit mitigation network is designed to absorb and mitigate massive digital attacks in region so that ourselves and our customers won't experience any degradation of performance issues if someone else gets attacked. It's all of our jobs to ensure that the company is not just secure, but performing optimally. We wanted to make our enterprise more efficient. We wanted to make our enterprises more reliable and have the right solutions that make us connected with our customers. So from there, I want to kind of switch gears a little bit and talk about some of the registry solutions and the security and how we've pulled this into some case studies that we have, which aren't necessarily about the digital solutions, but how we want to be able to turn them into some digital solutions. So Neustar, from the registry side, is both reactive and proactive in addressing not only security, but also policy-related issues. So we've introduced some policy and security procedures to address abuse, including those related to many of our domain acceptable use policies in terms of the illegal sale of opioids, for example, child exploitation, which I know we spoke a little bit about yesterday for those of you that were here, and also unsolicited bulk mail. We all know that failing to prevent malicious actors from using domain names for abusive purposes can weaken the reputation and trust of any domain extension. We have designed and operate a leading registry security service, which is called the Registry Threat Mitigation Service, or RTMS for short. RTMS includes a highly advanced mitigation process and leverages notifications to registrars, time limits for actions where appropriate, and domain name takedowns using a registry level hold called server hold. This process allows us the suspension of domain names involved in information security threats such as phishing, malware distribution, botnet command, and control activity. RTMS also provides a rapid response to domain names that are deemed to be in violation of our policies. Currently, we are using a work in progress to plan to address and seek feedback on to identify ongoing security or abuse threats using third-party feeds. So we're looking to detect potential threats as a watch list using the RTMS platform. The progress of these potential threats are tracked through the platform, and we'll have detailed audit logs to catch bad actors in the act versus being only a reactive type of service. And alerts will also be archived so that for future retrieval and review, so that we can look to be able to prevent future attacks before they happen. So I want to share a couple of case studies that we've had in the precursor to looking at some of the RTMS platform and to be able to build some of this preventive maintenance. So we attended a recent online opioid summit with the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA for short, to help mitigate the illegal sale of opioids online. And we participated in a panel with VeriSign, Public Interest Registry, GoDaddy, and 1&1 Internet. In anticipation of that summit, and with the increased focus on the illegal sale of opioids, we recently conducted a proactive review of the .us domain extension. The review included domain names with certain keywords that we were able to then look at what we call labels, so domain name strings. And this resulted in finding 500 domain names across .us that were potential for review. From that review, we found 6 websites that were identified to appeared to be offering online opioids illegally. And so from that review, those 6 domain names were then found to be in violation of our acceptable use policies, and they were placed on server hold due to those violations and notification to the registrars involved. Oopsie. Oh, I may have been one ahead. Sorry about that, guys. In addition, we also had a second case study that we had what we call a quick reaction or a reactive review in the .biz TLD. The FDA had contacted us about 3 .biz domain names that they had sent warning letters to registrars, and the registrars had at that time taken no action. So the warning letters had advised that these domain names were being used for the illegal sale of opioids, and they were advising that the domain names needed some type of action. We were able to, from a registry perspective, review our acceptable use and registration rules, and from there, in accordance with those policies and abuse procedures, we also placed those domain names on server hold. One of the things that we were looking to do with these 2 case studies, again, this was more of a manual review, and I know the security threats that I was talking about were from the digital perspective, but our goal is to be able to turn a lot of these manual case studies into automated and digital security policies, so that we can be able to be better at finding and mitigating against all types of abuse, whether it is from the perspective of the fast flux hosting or phishing, but also looking at unsolicited bulk email, the illegal sale of opioids, to at least be able to find some of those first offenses very quickly and efficiently, because as we know, all of these types of cyber attacks are coming up daily. So from a registry perspective, we want to make sure that we are standing and taking a bigger stance on security overall, as we've had talks throughout the day. This is, bless you, a very big issue. So thank you very much. That is the end of my talk, and that's it.
The last speaker is Mr. Paul Wilson, the Director General of APNIC.
Thank you so much. It really is an honour to be on the stage so many times in this short event. But I can thank TWNIC again, and assure you all that this is the last time you'll see me here this week. I've been asked to give a short. Here we go. All right, apologies. I've been asked to give a demonstration of a new development at APNIC, which is our directory of internet resources, internet directory. I guess it qualifies as another one of our sort of next generation registry services because again, thinking about traditional WHOIS, it's not a very friendly way for people to get access to any data at all, let alone to do the sorts of queries and inquiries, research and so on that we know that many people are interested in doing with WHOIS data these days. So we've deployed something called the Internet Directory. It's an attempt to give a friendlier interface into basically WHOIS data or public registry data so that as a user you can browse it and inquire and graph and do more things with the data more flexibly than maybe before. It's something that's part of our public responsibility for transparency to make our registry data usefully available to people in the public. I think APNIC regards that as one of our responsibilities. It also helps with people who might be researching trends of internet development around the region, and also, very importantly, the policy process of APNIC, like the other RIRs and like other internet open policy processes, kind of relies on useful information about what's actually happening on the internet, so that people can draw conclusions, they can make recommendations, they can back up their policy proposals. If there are needs for policy changes, then often, of course, the actual data about what's happening on the internet can be useful. So the data about how APNIC IP address resources are being used is actually it can be very important in making policy decisions as well. So traditionally, the way that you've accessed data at APNIC has been either through through WHOIS, which is a fairly special purpose and inflexible thing, or through our research pages. We have provided access to raw registry data in a standardized format that the RIRs themselves have agreed on, but in a format that is hardly friendly. I don't know if anyone remembers FTP, but I guess for traditionalists, we provide this data via FTP, and you can browse through a kind of a deep hierarchy of all of the historical data that we've published in the past. You can download these files, which are text files in a standardized format, if you want to drill into the actual allocation activities of APNIC. Because this is a shared format with the other RIRs, you can merge the data together and look at multiple RIRs at the same time if you like, but you've kind of got to be good at scripting or Excel and data import and so forth to be able to do this very usefully, and certainly you don't have a sort of a standardized or easy format. So what the data looks like is this. If you can see the screen here, it does have a friendly header, but then it goes on and on into a very, very long list, depending on what you're looking at, of the actual resource allocation and assignment transactions which have happened. Again, not very friendly. So for instance, if I was to look for instance, this record here, which is the first record in the list tagged with TW, so that's an allocation of an IPv4 address block to an organization in Taiwan, then of course I can find that here. But then if I wanted to find out the WHOIS details, then I'd be going back to the APNIC website, entering, for instance, the IP address of that record, and then getting this WHOIS record corresponding to that. And if I wanted to do a sort of bulk inquiry and find multiple correspondences between IP address allocation transactions and WHOIS data, then I'd have to script that as well. So we have actually, over the years, had a few attempts at providing a graphical interface into this data. Those attempts have come and gone. We've tried to improve them in a couple of generations, and this one is the latest one. But if you go to this research tab on the website and then to Internet Directory, then you'll come to what is the latest way of looking at IP addressing and IP resource transaction data that we publish. Internet Directory, by the way, is not such a cool name. It's something that we're rethinking to think of a sort of a groovy name. So if anyone's got any suggestions for a groovy name for this interface after you've had a look at how it works, then I'd be very happy to hear that. But what you start with here is a global view, or a regional view, that is global from APNIC's perspective, of ASN, IPv4 and IPv6 delegations. Annual totals are subdivided according to the sub-region. So the sub-regions are listed on the left here: Eastern Asia, Southeast, Oceania, Southern Asia, and they're also visible in the colours and in the legend that you see here. But this shows you, as you'd expect here, the totals of these transactions per year. You can do a few things with these charts. For instance, if you are just interested in IPv6, then you can look at IPv6. If you're interested in this is the number of delegation transactions that have been made, again according to the sub-regions, which are documented in the key there. But if you wanted to look instead at the number of IP addresses in the transaction, then you could click there on IP addresses up in the corner there. So it's sort of interesting here that what you see for IP addresses, IPv4 addresses, is that we've actually had a very rapid, very big increase in the number of transactions in the recent years, but the number of addresses allocated has crashed as of 2012. So that, of course, is the exhaustion for us of IPv4 address space, and the fact that we're now, for the past 7 years, we have been allocating the rations last/8 blocks. So the total number of addresses allocated is very small, but if you go to the actual number of delegation transactions, then the number has actually increased in transactions quite substantially. You can look at, for instance, the cumulative figures, that is the additive totals through the year. So this is the sort of thing that we're trying to do with this interface, is just to be able to provide something that's much easier to browse and look at. Of course, you can apply these sorts of different steps to any of these the resources that are here, ASN's v4 and v6 addresses. You can also drill down. So if we're interested in East Asia, then we can look at a breakdown of all the economies in East Asia and what they look like. And of course, we can look at the cumulative totals if we want to do that. We can also look on a economy by economy basis. So there we have Taiwan, ASN, IPv4 and IPv6 delegations by year. Something else, of course, that people often want, and this is also quite troublesome to do if you're trying to drill down into those raw statistics, is simply to compare one economy with another. So there's something here which is referred to as, it's listed here, as shown here as comparison mode. So if we wanted to compare, say, Taiwan and South Korea, then we can see, and at the moment that's shown as a line graph, but we can see what those two economies look like compared side by side, and we can look at others in the we can compare with others in the rest of the region as well, and look at as many of these as we like. So that's how the graphical part works. As I said, this is also about accessing WHOIS data. We actually require an APNIC login, which is freely available. Anyone can register for an APNIC login, but we ask for that login before we activate the access to WHOIS, and that's just I guess it's a kind of a way of throttling access to this, so that we don't have people sort of unidentified people attempting to mine the WHOIS data. But once you but that's easy to do, so anyone can actually authenticate themselves. And once you have that, then of course you can look at this. A button is activated here, which allows you to look at the actual WHOIS data. So you actually do have the public data. This is the data that's available on WHOIS anyway, and which you could script into a process by yourself. But we've just made it easier for you to be able to browse through that data. So if we were to drill through this, we could have a look for that record that we found manually before. I won't go to the trouble of looking for it, but if you do find a prefix or or a particular organization that you're interested in, then you can do a bit of browsing around as well and find out about the other resources that they hold and so on. That's about it. I mean, there's some sort of modern features in this which are which we felt are useful. For instance, this interface is made up of widgets which can be reused. So if there's a link here which instructs you in how to embed these charts in other places. So if you wanted to embed a live chart in another website, then there's details here of how you can do this using web components, and there's even a little interactive interface here where you can generate a chart, and you'll be given the embeddable HTML that you can then put somewhere else. And a bit like a Google widget, the intention there is that someone who sees one of these embedded charts, if they're interested in it, they can follow it and go and do some more inquiring of their own by actually accessing the interface directly. The idea here also is to extend this a bit more beyond just the IP resource allocations, and to bring in, for instance, the IPv6 capability information, which has been the subject of a lot of interest globally. So the ability to then look at your IPv6 capabilities and to compare, for instance, Taiwan with regional or with other countries is something that we'll also be deploying at some time in the hopefully not too distant future. So that interface is available at stats.apnic.net. So if anyone would like to try it any time, it's available, it's up and running, and hopefully would be of interest to you. Thanks very much. That's the lightning talk.
This session is over for now, and our next section will begin at 3:40, so we will have a longer break here. Thank you.